Good afternoon. The time is now 12 p.m. and I'm going to be calling the meeting of the District of Columbia Board of Ethics and Government Accountability to order. I am Bega board member Melissa Tucker, and I am presiding over this meeting in the absence of Bega Chairperson Norma Hutcheson. This meeting is being held at the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability at 1030 15th Street Northwest, Suite 700 West, and virtually. Joining me today in person for this meeting are board members Charles Nottingham and Felice Smith, and board member Darrin Sobin is joining us remotely. Together, the four of us constitute a quorum for this meeting. Since it was first posted, our agenda has not changed, and so if members would take a moment and please review the agenda, let me know if there's a motion to adopt it.
I'll offer the motion that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting.
Second. This motion has been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting. If no one has any comments or suggestions, all those in favor of adopting the agenda, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the board has adopted the agenda for today's meeting. Also before us today are the May 2024 draft meeting minutes. Will a member make a motion that we consider the approval of the meeting minutes?
I'll offer the motion that we approve the minutes from the May meeting.
Okay, it has moved second. It has been moved and seconded. Actually, the first motion was just to consider the approval. Is that right? So do we need a second one to actually approve it?
I don't think so, but if you
I know this seems so.
You need one, we'll offer a second motion to approve the minutes from the May meeting.
Thank you. So the motion to approve the minutes has been moved and seconded. Does anyone have any comments or suggestions? If not, all those in favor of approving the May 2024 minutes, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the board approves the May 2024 meeting minutes. Okay, next we are going to hear a report from the Office of Open Government. Niquelle Allen, Director of the Office of Open Government, is going to provide us with a report on behalf of the office. Director Allen, please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Presiding Member Tucker and members of the board. I am Niquelle Allen, Director of Open Government, and I am pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Open Government, or OOG. Since the last board meeting, OOG has continued to fulfill its mission of ensuring that all persons receive full and complete information regarding the affairs of the District of Columbia government and the actions of those who represent them. I will begin my report with Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advice rendered by the office. First, advisory opinions. I have not issued any advisory opinion since the board's last meeting. Second is informal advice. Since the last board meeting, OOG has responded informally via email or telephone to requests for assistance as follows: 5 requests for Open Meetings Act advice, 3 requests for FOIA advice, and 8 requests for technical assistance with open-dc.gov. Next is meeting monitoring. OOG staff attends public bodies meetings in person and remotely to ensure compliance with the Open Meetings Act. They also inspect public bodies' websites and OOG's central meeting calendar for public meeting notices and records. OOG's attorneys provide legal advice on Open Meetings Act compliance and take corrective action if necessary. During May 2024, OOG's legal staff attended 17 public body meetings. As a result of the monitoring, OOG communicated 2 corrective measures. The public bodies failed to do the following: first, post sufficient notice of its meeting, and 2, post the meeting agenda. Next is training and outreach. First is DC Bar's 2024 John Payton Leadership Academy. On May 3rd, 2024, Attorney Advisor Anthony J. Skirbo attended the developmental sprint as part of the DC Bar's John Payton Leadership Academy, which tasked participants with identifying a leadership improvement goal and working with their support groups to assess progress and making progress accomplishing those goals. On May 18th, 2024, he participated in the DC Bar's Pro Bono Center's Advice and Referral Clinic, at which volunteer attorneys assist individuals by providing legal information, brief advice, and referrals to individuals with civil legal problems. On May 20th, Attorney Skirbo attended the second full-day leadership development as part of the DC Bar's Leadership Academy. The training focused on personal assessments and evaluation of attributes in leading others. On June 1st, he also volunteered at the DC Pro Bono Center's quarterly immigration clinic, at which volunteer attorneys assist individuals by providing legal information, brief advice, and referrals to individuals with immigration challenges. Next is active listening for lawyers and paralegals, a critical skill for high performance. On May 7th, paralegal specialist Kimberly Brown attended this on-demand training module. The session provided an overview of the benefits of actively listening and addressed emerging issues of when it's not practiced properly. The training also provided effective active listening techniques to assist in client engagement and relationship building. Next is conducting effective internal investigation, an overview of investigation phases and key considerations. On May 10th, Paralegal Brown attended this online training, and the training highlighted fundamental steps in conducting investigations, document collection, witness interviews, and reporting. Open Meetings Act training for the Mayor's Office of Talent and Appointments. On May 23rd, Chief Counsel Neal facilitated a virtual Open Meetings Act training for the Mayor's Office of Talent and Appointments. The virtual training course covered the basic principles of the OMA and procedures for ensuring that public bodies are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. I was present during the virtual training session and assisted Chief Counsel Neal with answering questions from the participants. Open Meetings Act and Parliamentary Procedure. On May 30th, Bega facilitated training on its areas of expertise for the directors of DC, the Board of Directors of DC Water. During the public body's annual retreat at their headquarters in Navy Yard, Attorney Wild facilitated an in-person training on the Open Meetings Act and Parliamentary Procedure, and Attorney Advisor Brandon Lewis assisted him with the presentation. The Office of Government Ethics also presented in-person ethic training for DC Water. Sexual harassment training in response to Mayor's Order 2023-13, District Sexual Harassment, which Bega adopted. OOG staff has completed the self-guided mandatory employee training. The training was completed between April 29th and June 5th. American Society of Access Professionals 2024 National Training Conference on June 3rd through the 5th. The ASAP, as we call, hosted their 17th annual training conference in Garden Grove, California. Chief Counsel Neal and Attorney Lewis have completed this training conference and are currently returning from the training. Summaries of the sessions that they attended will be included in next month's board report. The litigation and legislative update is next. Litigation, Leslie Richards v. DC Finance and Treasury, case number 24CV-0034 in the DC Court of Appeals, and case number 2021-CA003762-B in DC Superior Court. I have previously reported on this pro bono case in which the plaintiff appellant seeks information about a disbursement to her from a private bank. Among her many points in this contention is that the University of the District of Columbia refused to disclose through FOIA who cashed a particular number of paychecks. The brief is in Dropbox. The District of Columbia's party brief will be due on June 17th. DC Open Government Coalition versus the DC versus District of Columbia, case number 2023-CAB-007251 in DC Superior Court. I have previously reported on this case in which the DC Open Government Coalition seeks an accounting of the backlog of public record requests submitted through FOIA Express, the public access link. The parties have cross-filed motions for summary judgment, and a hearing is set for June 21st at 1:30 p.m. The district argues that the Open Government Coalition's claims are moot because the Office of the Chief Technology Officer generated their requested report and delivered the information that they requested. The district also contends that OCTO does not produce or maintain a report of the nature that the Open Government Coalition requested, so the record did not exist according to DC FOIA. The Open Government Coalition responded that even though OCTO provided a report, the record provided was not prepared in a manner that satisfied the Open Government Coalition's request. The substantive filings are in Dropbox. Legislation is next. The Budget Support Act regarding Open Meetings Act enforcement, fined increase and fee shifting. May 29th, the DC Council passed on first reading the fiscal year 2025 Budget Support Act of 2024. A subtitle of this bill, the Open Meetings Act Enforcement Amendment Act of 2024, would 1, raise the maximum fine for a pattern or practice of willfully participating in one or more closed meetings in violation of the OMA to $500 and permit the Office of Open Government to recover the cost of litigation. The Committee of the Whole's draft report is in Dropbox. The relevant language appears on page 14 of the report and pages 9 and 10 of the committee print. Rulemaking Public Comment Modernization Act of 2024, Bill 24-0790. The legislation introduced by Anita Bonds would amend the DC Administrative Procedure Act to require agencies issuing proposed rulemakings to receive oral comments, data and views, and electronic written comment. Current law allows agencies to require that comments be presented in writing. Also, the Office of Documents and Administrative Issuances would be required to publish and maintain an electronic directory of rules open for public comment. The introduced version of the bill is in Dropbox. The Committee on Executive Administration and Labor will hold a hearing on this bill on July 10th. FOIA exemption, physical and mental evaluations and report, Bill 25-0545 is next. I have previously reported on the Health Occupations Revision General Amendment Act of 2023. This measure would add a new enumerated DC FOIA exemption, Exemption 21, which would cover certain medical records, reports from physical and mental evaluations, and consent orders, final orders, and notices of summary suspensions issued pursuant to the District of Columbia Health Occupations Revision Act of 1985, which is codified in DC Official Code Section 3-1201.01. The bill passed after first reading on May 7th. The legislation was signed by the mayor on May 29th and returned on May 30th. The signed act is in Dropbox. The pertinent language is on page 33 and 48. Last are administrative matters. Attorney advisor vacancy. OOG is currently recruiting to fill an attorney advisor position. The DC Office of Human Resources will post the vacancy announcement this Friday on June 7th. We hope to have the position filled by the end of the fiscal year. This concludes the Office of Open Government's June 6th report. I'm happy to answer any questions for me.
Thank you, Director Allen. Does anyone have any questions? No?
Thank you.
We appreciate your report. Next, we will hear from the Director of the Office of Government Ethics, Ashley Hooks. Director Hooks.
Good afternoon, Board Member Tucker and members of the board. I'm Ashley Hooks, the Director of Government Ethics. I present this report on the activity of government ethics. First, I'll provide an update on the status of OGE operations. The information reported today regarding OGE cases will not reflect any status change that may occur because of actions taken by the board during today's meeting. For open investigations by status, we have a grand total of 51. For open undocumented matters, we have a grand total of 7. Pending state investigations by status, we have 41 matters that are closed pending collection, 5 matters stayed pending DC Superior Court case, 1 matter stayed for OAG False Claims Act case. 5 matters stayed for OIG investigation, for a grand total of 52 matters. For regulatory matters by status, we have 26 matters that are closed pending collection and 2 matters that are open, for a grand total of 28. Again, we currently have 51 matters that are open and 11 matters that are stayed. The number of open preliminary and formal investigations includes 16 new matters. The investigative team resolved 12 investigations since the board last met. This total does not reflect the number of complaints that were dismissed for a lack of jurisdiction. OGE has continued its communications and referrals to the Chief Financial Officer's Central Collection Unit, CCU, for collection of delinquent debts. We continue holding monthly meetings with the CCU team. We are transferring new debts and will continue to update the list monthly. According to CCU, 10 larger and older debts will be sent to the Office of the Attorney General for judgment through Superior Court. Next is an update on training and outreach. First, professional development by staff. Several OGE employees completed the mandatory training under the recent Mayor's Order 2023-131 for sexual harassment. Program Support Assistant Niquelle Allen and IT Specialist Kevin Brown attended a quick-base training by the Office of the Chief Technology Officer. Auditor Courtney Walker attended Microsoft Office 365 Excel Part 1 and Communicating Non-Defensively. Program Coordinator Stan Kosick took Emotional Intelligence. People staff Christina Mitchell completed 4 courses. The ADA Compliance Plan Training facilitated disability rights. DC Human Resources Performance Management Symposium. The Continuity Planning course hosted by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and Building High Performance Teams. Investigator Tasia Reed completed 2 courses, hashtag training and mental health first aid certification. General Counsel Rashi Rod attended Ethics and Social Media 2024 and Women Lawyers in Leadership. For trainings conducted by staff, since the May board meeting, OGE conducted 7 training courses, which included the May and June monthly hashtag trainings, the May monthly ethics training, and specific trainings for the following agencies: the District of Columbia Public Schools, the DC Waters Board of Directors, and the Office of the People's Counsel. On Monday, May 20th, Attorney Advisor Maurice Eccles presented the May Ethics Counselor Brown Bag session on recent Bega dispositions. 13 ethics counselors attended and heard summaries of the last 6 to 8 months worth of ethics investigation dispositions and engaged in discussion about trends. A copy of the presentation was placed in the Dropbox. During May, 447 employees completed courses using the learning management system. The courses with the highest completion rates were the Board of Ethics and Accountability Ethics Training, Conflicts of Interest and Overview, and Financial Interest and Disclosure. 372 employees completed ethics training using PeopleSoft during the month of May. For outreach, OGE is still in the process of updating and implementing new training courses for the learning management system. We have been meeting with LRN, the vendor that hosts our LMS, to discuss the best course of action for adding 6 new courses to include an updated financial disclosure statement training for ethics counselors. OGE began its outreach initiative, Ask Bega, in which attorney advisors will visit agencies and government buildings to provide on-site ethics advice to employees, as well as information about the office. This is a spinoff of Bega's Roadshow that existed prior to the pandemic. In April, attorney advisors Maurice Eccles and Marisa Johnson visited the Department of Energy and provided advice to a group of employees. Our next 2 Ask Bega events for the Commission on Arts and Humanities and the Department of Building will take place in the summer. Next is an update on advice and advisory opinions. Informal advice. OGE's legal staff provided advice for approximately 57 ethics inquiries, which is 19 more than the 38 reported at the last board meeting. This number does not include the responses we have provided to questions regarding the lobbyist and FTS e-filing systems. For an update on advisory opinions, On March 29th, OGE published an advisory opinion entitled Guidance on Social Media Use for Official Purposes by District Government Elected Officials and District Government Employees. The 30-day comment period passed, but the opinion was complicated by a recent Supreme Court opinion from March, Linkey versus Freed. OGE made edits to follow the Supreme Court's opinion, and the second draft will be published to the website and in the DC Register for a 30-day comment period. A copy of the revised advisory opinion will be placed in the Dropbox before next month's meeting. OGE also issued a draft advisory opinion in response to a request from a former employee of the Office of the Attorney General, OAG, who sought guidance on whether the post-employment restrictions will prohibit him from serving as part of a legal team in a lawsuit against the district. The draft opinion advises the requester that entering an appearance in the matter where OAG represents the district as a party to the litigation would be prohibited during the one-year cooling off period. The opinion also concludes that providing behind-the-scenes assistance in litigation will be permissible during the one-year cooling off period if the requester is not identified as the source of the behind-the-scenes guidance. The draft opinion was published on Monday to the website and will be published in the DC Register for a 30-day comment period. A copy of the advisory opinion was placed in the Dropbox. OGE also published advisory opinion, advisory neighborhood commissioner sign-on letter, which responds to the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissioners, Advisory Neighborhood Commission, OANC's request for advice on the parameters around the drafting, circulating, and sending of sign-on letters by advisory neighborhood commissioners. Specifically, OANC would like this office to identify the circumstances under which it is appropriate for commissioners to participate in sign-on letters in their official capacity. OGE concluded that commissioners may draft or endorse sign-on letters in their official capacity if, one, they are conducting official ANC district government business as authorized by their commissions and doing so within the bounds of the ethics rules and the law. Or two, they are conducting official government business by representing the interests of their single member district, SMD, and endorses the letter as a SMD representative. The opinion advises the commissioners, the opinion advises commissioners that they're prohibited from using their official titles to endorse draft sign-on letters that are personal in nature and do not reflect official district government business. The draft opinion was published on Monday to the website and will be published in the DC Register for a 30-day comment period. A copy of the advisory opinion was placed in the Dropbox. Next is an update on legislation and rulemaking. First, financial disclosure rulemaking. OGE has identified board and commissions that do not meet the definition of public official under DC Official Code Section 1-1161.0147 and don't file financial disclosure forms, even though they engage in conduct that creates a financial conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest. OGE drafted a proposed rulemaking that would designate those board and commission members as public financial disclosure statements, and it was posted in the DC Register on March 29, 2024 for a 30-day comment period and was emailed to all ethics counselors. Also, a press release was posted on the Bega website. We received 4 comments which have been uploaded to the Dropbox for the board's review. OGE plans to amend the proposed rulemaking to include 4 boards that were suggested in comments from the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. Next is an update on OGE administrative matters. First, the 2025 budget oversight. On May 10th, the council conducted a first vote on the FY 2025 Budget Support Act of 2024. OGE learned that the proposed lobbying fees and penalties reform amendment act was included in the Budget Support Act. The legislation will increase the lobbying registration fees and penalties for late filings. The final council vote will take place on June 12th. Next is an update on financial disclosure statement, FDS. Pursuant to D.C. Official Code Sections 1-1162.4 and 1-1162.25, public officials and certain government employees must file a financial disclosure statement as a means of transparency and to prevent engaging in conduct that violates the financial conflict of interest statute. Bega is responsible for ensuring that employees and public officials who meet the statutory requirement file their annual financial disclosure statement. The 2024 FCS season is still underway. The 2024 financial disclosure statements for calendar year 2023 were due on May 15, 2024. In April, the FCS team sent emails and mail notices to 4,282 public filers announcing the 2024 financial disclosure season's arrival, and each agency sent notice to 4,539 confidential filers. By the May 15th filing deadline, 85% of public filers and 89% of confidential filers had filed. As of May 31st, almost 90% of public filers and 93% of confidential filers had filed. The FBS team continues to send reminder notices to late filers. The team fielded 827 support tickets, of which 272 tickets pertain to password and access issues. The remaining tickets were name and agency changes. IT specialist Kevin Brown and program support assistant Niquelle Allen have revamped the QuickBase FDS tracker to make it more user-friendly for staff and external users. Last is an update on lobbying registration and reporting, LRR. Pursuant to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.27A, a person who receives compensation or expense funds in the amount of $250 or more in any 3 consecutive calendar month period for lobbying shall register with the Director of Government Ethics and pay the required registration fee. According to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.30, each registrant shall file a quarterly report concerning the registrant's lobbying activities during the previous quarter. Lobbying reporting has remained steady since the start of the 2024 calendar year. The 2024 first quarter lobbying activity reports were due on April 15th. A filing reminder was sent to 373 recipients on March 27th. The lobbying registration and reporting system reported 1 new registrant in May. The system registered 51 late activity reports in April, and the LRR team have prepared filing letters to be sent to those late registrants. Thank you. This concludes the Office of Government Ethics June 6, 2024 report. I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Cooks. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we appreciate your report. The public was invited to submit comments in writing by 11 a.m. today and did not receive any comments. If there are any members of the public in attendance at the meeting right now, they have an opportunity to make a comment at this time. Hearing none, we will proceed with the next item on the agenda, which is a closed session to discuss ongoing confidential investigations pursuant to DC Official Code 2-575B14. To consult with an attorney to obtain legal advice and to preserve the attorney-client privilege between an attorney and a public body pursuant to DC Official Code 2-575B4A. To discuss personnel matters, including the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, performance evaluation, compensation, discipline, demotion, removal, resignation of government appointees, employees, or officials pursuant to DC Official Code 2-575B10. To deliberate on a decision in which the Ethics Board will exercise quasi-judicial functions pursuant to DC Official Code 2-575B13, and to discuss contract negotiation strategies pursuant to DC Official Code 2-575B2. Don't ask me to say that again. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second. It has been moved and seconded that the board enter executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Board members, we will convene next door in the boardroom for the executive session. We will return to the hearing room after the conclusion of the executive session to report out any matters decided, finish any other business, and adjourn the meeting.
Chairperson, how am I supposed to participate? If it's next door? Should I call in on the phone?
Is that
Yeah, you can just call in.
How about one of you guys call me on my cell phone?
Yeah, Mike.
We'll call it the console inside, right? And you can just call there.
Yep. okay? Sounds like we can do that.
We can do that.
You have my number, Lynn?
You got it. And you got the invite for the second meeting too, right?
Well, right, but if I click on that invite, will it take me into the side room?
If you close out of this one and click on the second invite, it'll take you into the side room.
Oh, okay, well, I'll just do that then. Okay.
Thank you. It is now 1:18 p.m. and we are back on the record and would like to report out the following. Board approved a negotiated disposition in matter number 24-0051-P in Ray Y Fields. Board opened a formal investigation in matter number 24-0012-F in Ray R Navar. And the board approved a scheduling order and notice of hearing in matter number 24-0009-F in Ray Aretha Chapman. It is now 1:19 p.m. and this concludes the meeting of the DC Board of Government Ethics and Accountability. The next meeting will be held at the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability here at 1030 15th Street Northwest, Suite 700 West, and virtually on July 11, 2024 at 12 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam Chair.